Oh, sweet sister, let me tell you something that will set your soul on fire. You are already enough. You are not waiting on a man's approval to make you whole. You are not begging for love like a starving child when God has already laid out a banquet for you. Your worth is not measured by how many hearts you can make skip a beat, but by the one who stopped his own heart beating, bleeding, breaking, just to call you his. Do you hear me? You were bought with a price, and that price was not cheap. It was the very breath of heaven, the sacrifice of the Son of God. So why would you ever let a man, just a man, flesh and bone like you, determine your value? Why would you let his silence make you small? Why would you let his wandering eyes make you question your beauty? You are fearfully and wonderfully made, crafted by the hands that shaped the mountains, painted the skies, and whispered life into the dust. A woman of God does not chase men because she knows something greater. She is already pursued, not by weak, wavering love, but by a love that chased her down in the darkest valleys, a love that called her name before she even knew her own. She doesn't need to prove herself, to twist herself into something digestible for a man's appetite. No. She stands in the fullness of who she is, unshaken, unapologetic, unmatched, because she knows who she is. And let me tell you this, when a man truly sees you, really sees you, he won't ask you to shrink. He won't ask you to dim your light so he can shine. He will recognize the divine in you because he has encountered the divine himself. He will love you like Christ loves the church, not because you chased him, but because God ordained it. So stop running after what was never meant to keep up with you. Stop bending your soul into shapes it was never meant to hold. You are worth more than the anxiety of waiting by the phone, more than the tears shed over someone who couldn't even recognize your heart. You are a daughter of the King, and a queen does not chase, she is sought after. Oh, but listen, there is a fire inside you that was never meant to be wasted on chasing what was never yours. There is a calling on your life, a purpose so fierce, so divine, that it should make your knees tremble and your spirit soar. And yet, how many of us have traded that holy assignment for the distraction of a man's attention? How many of us have put our dreams on hold, waiting for someone to choose us, when God has already said, you are chosen? A woman of God does not chase men because she is too busy building, too busy creating, too busy walking in the destiny that was written over her life before she took her first breath. She understands that love was never meant to be her pursuit. It was meant to be her portion. And when she aligns herself with God's plan, everything else aligns with her. You were not created to be a shadow behind some man, hoping he turns around and notices you. You were created to shine, to light up rooms with your gifts, to shake the earth with your prayers, to leave a legacy that outlives you. And darling, a man who is meant for you will not distract you from that calling. He will fuel it. He won't ask you to abandon your purpose to prove your love. He will stand beside you as you both run toward God's will. So stop putting your life on pause for someone who hasn't even decided if they want to be in the. Stop rearranging your dreams to fit into his. The right love will not make you choose between him and your destiny, because he was sent to help fulfill it. You want to know the secret? Focus on what God said about you and watch how everything else falls into place. Stop chasing and start living. Stop waiting and start becoming, because when you are walking in your purpose, you become magnetic, not because you're trying to be seen, but because you cannot be ignored. Oh, but this is where the rubber meets the road. How many times have you silenced your voice just to keep the peace? How many times have you laughed at a joke that cut your soul? How many times have you made yourself smaller, quieter, less, just so a man would stay? Let me speak life over you right now. A woman of God does not bargain with her dignity. She does not negotiate her worth. She does not sell pieces of herself just to feel wanted for a night. She knows that the moment she starts begging for love, she has already lost it. because real love does not require you to crawl. You were not created to be an option. You were not created to be a placeholder until something better comes along. You were not created to be the one he texts at midnight but ignores in the daylight. No, you were created to be honored, to be cherished, to be chosen fiercely and without hesitation. So if he can't see you in the sun, don't let him touch you in the shadows. If he only wants you in secret, he doesn't deserve you in public. If he makes you question your worth, he has already answered his own. A woman of God knows her value, and because she knows it, she protects it. She does not chase after someone who treats her like a convenience. She does not lower her standards just to avoid being alone. She would rather stand in the fullness of her dignity by herself than shrink in the presence of a man who doesn't recognize her royalty. So rise up, darling. Straighten your crown. Stop accepting breadcrumbs when you were made for a feast. Stop giving your heart to those who only know how to break things. You are too valuable to be wasted on half-hearted love. Remember this. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. So demand respect, not because you are arrogant, but because you know exactly whose you are. And a daughter of the king should never settle for less than kingdom treatment. Oh, sweet sister, let me tell you about the sacred art of waiting. Not the kind that leaves you pacing the floor, heart pounding, hands trembling, eyes glued to your phone, begging for a crumb of attention. No, not that kind of waiting. I'm talking about the kind of waiting that settles deep in your spirit. The kind that knows, really knows, that God is working even when you can't see it. The kind of waiting that doesn't rush, doesn't force, doesn't manipulate, because it trusts the one who holds time itself in his hands. You see, a woman of God doesn't chase love because she understands something powerful. Love isn't something you can force into existence. You can't make a man love you by texting him first every time. You can't make him choose you by pretending to be someone you're not. You can't convince him to stay by giving away pieces of yourself he hasn't earned. Love that's real, love that's true, love that lasts, that kind of love doesn't need to be convinced. It doesn't need to be chased. It finds you. But oh, how we hate to wait. We want answers now, promises now, security now. We want to skip the season of uncertainty and land right in the safety of commitment. We want to fast forward through the lonely nights and wake up wrapped in someone's arms. But here's the truth, darling. God doesn't rush. He doesn't panic. He doesn't hurry. He works in preparation. Preparing you, preparing him, preparing the story. He's writing for both of you. And if you try to skip ahead, if you try to force what isn't ready, you won't be stepping into love. You'll be stepping into a mess. Think about it. When you plant a seed, do you dig it up every day to see if it's growing? No, you trust the process. You water it. You give it sunlight. You let time do its work. And one day, when the season is right, it blooms. Love is the same way. You can't force a man to be ready. You can't convince him to be the one God has for you. You can't love him into maturity. Either he is who he needs to be, or he isn't. And if he isn't, no amount of your waiting by the phone, no amount of your hints, no amount of your silent hoping will change that. So what do? You let go. You release the need to control, to strategize, to make things happen in your own strength. You stop checking his social media. Stop analyzing his every word. Stop twisting yourself into knots, trying to keep his attention. You stand still, gloriously still, and let God move. You trust that if he's yours, no amount of distance can keep him away. And if he's not, no amount of chasing will make him stay. Because here's the beautiful, liberating truth. God's timing is perfect. Not early, not late, perfect. He knows the exact moment your paths are meant to cross. He knows the exact season when your hearts will be ready. He knows the exact love story that will bring him the most glory. And if you try to rush it, if you try to write the story yourself, you'll only end up with heartache. But if you wait, if you really wait, not in anxiety, but in peace, not in desperation, but in trust, you'll step into a love that feels like destiny. So breathe, darling. Stop counting the days. Stop worrying about the what ifs. Stop trying to figure it all out. Your love story is already written, and the author has never gotten it wrong. Oh, but this, this is where freedom lives, right here, in the knowing, in the deep down, unshakable knowing that you are already loved beyond measure. That before any man ever whispered your name, God was singing over you. That before any hands ever held yours, God was carving your destiny into the palms of His. That before any heart ever claimed you, the Creator of the universe had already called you His. A woman of God doesn't chase men because she isn't starving for love. She's full of it. She isn't desperate for affection because her heart is already anchored in something unbreakable, something eternal. She doesn't crumble when a man walks away because she knows her worth was never in his hands to begin with. But oh, how we forget. We act like love is something we have to earn, something we have to prove ourselves worthy of. We twist ourselves into pretzels, trying to be what we think a man wants, instead of resting in who God says we are. We let the silence of a man make us question everything, when the voice of God has already spoken everything over us. Let me tell you something, darling. No man's love will ever satisfy you like God's love can. No romance, no promise, no ring, no whispered "I love you" will ever fill the space inside you that was made for Him. And if you try to make a man your source, if you try to make his love your oxygen, you will always, always, always be left gasping for air. But when you let God love you first, when you let His truth sink so deep into your bones that you no longer question if you're worthy, something miraculous happens. You stop needing a man to complete you. You stop needing his validation to feel beautiful. You stop needing his attention to feel seen, because you are already complete. You are already beautiful. You are already seen by the one who matters most. And here's the secret. When you are full of God's love, you stop accepting counterfeit love from the world. You stop settling for men who only want pieces of you. You stop clinging to relationships that drain you more than they fill you. You stop begging for crumbs when you're already seated at God's table. Because a woman who knows she's loved by God doesn't chase, she radiates. She doesn't beg, she blesses. She doesn't cling, she chooses. And when the right love comes, she won't be desperate for it. She'll be ready for it, not because she needed it to survive, but because she's already thriving in the love that will never fail her. So let me ask you, are you anchored in God's love? Or are you still searching for a man to give you what only He can? Oh, but surrender. Surrender is where the magic happens. It's where the chains break. It's where the weight lifts. It's where you stop carrying the burden of trying to make things happen and finally let God do what only He can do. A woman of God doesn't chase men because she has learned the most powerful lesson of all. Her plans are small, but His are grand. Her ways are limited, but His are limitless. Her control is an illusion, but His sovereignty is absolute. And yet, how we fight it. We want to hold the pen. We want to write the story. We want to decide when, how, who, and why. We want love to happen on our timeline, in our way, with our ideal ending. And when it doesn't, we panic. We scheme. We try to force doors open that were never meant for us. But surrender says, God, I trust you even when I don't understand. Surrender says, your will over mine. Surrender says, I release my grip and let you lead. And here's the miracle. In that surrender, you find a strength you never knew you had. You stop being tossed around by every fleeting emotion, every unanswered text, every disappointment. You stop living in fear of being alone because you know that God is with you. You stop trying to manipulate your way into love because you trust that if it's meant for you, nothing can keep it away. Surrender isn't weakness. It isn't giving up. It isn't resignation. It's faith in motion. It's you saying, God, I don't have to chase because I trust you to bring what's mine. So what are you holding on to, darling? What dream are you white-knuckling? What relationship are you refusing to release? What plan are you clinging to even when God is whispering, there's something better? Let it go. Really let it go. Not in despair, but in hope. Not in defeat, but in victory. Because when you surrender your desires to God, you aren't losing, you're winning. You're stepping into the freedom of knowing that His plans for you are greater than anything you could have imagined. So raise your hands, open your heart, and let go. The best is yet to come. Let me tell you this, dear sister, not as a whisper, but as a battle cry, not as theory, but as living truth. A woman who knows she belongs to God moves through this world differently. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't shrink. Why? Because she carries within her an unshakable knowing that her worth was decided before she took her first breath. Her purpose was etched into eternity before she walked her first step. And her love story was written by hands that carved galaxies into being. When you truly grasp that your value comes from the King and not the opinions of men, you stop auditioning for love and start receiving it. No more bending, no more bargaining. No more stitching your heart to those who treat it carelessly. You stand Reginald unshaken because you know any man who cannot see your worth is not your destiny. Your value isn't negotiable, it's non-negotiable. A woman walking in her calling doesn't have time to beg for attention. She's too busy building, creating, praying, soaring. She understands that love was never meant to be her desperation. It was meant to be her destination. And when she focuses on what God has placed in her hands, the right love won't distract her. It will align with her for anything to go up and go down. She doesn't manipulate, force, or rush because she knows God's timing is perfect. She won't water dead relationships hoping they'll bloom. She won't settle for maybe when God has promised it is done. She waits, not in anxiety, but in expectancy, because what's meant for her will find her without her chasing it down. She refuses to trade her dignity for temporary affection. She won't be a secret, won't be an option, won't be treated like a convenience. Why? Because she knows how you allow yourself to be loved is how you teach others to love you. And a daughter of the King demands kingdom treatment. She doesn't look to a man to fill voids. Only God can fill. His love is her foundation, His voice her compass, His presence her safety. And because she's rooted in Him, she won't uproot herself for anyone who offers less than she deserves. She doesn't lower the bar, she raises it. She knows compromise in love isn't wisdom, it's warfare. So she guards her heart, not out of fear, but out of fierce reverence for what God has prepared for her. She doesn't cling, she trusts. She lets go of control and watches God work miracles. She understands that surrender isn't defeat, it's victory. The moment she stops striving and starts thriving in His plan, she doesn't chase it, she is chosen. Not because she manipulated it, but because God ordained it. And when love arrives, it won't feel like something she caught, it will feel like something God gave. So rise up, woman of God, straighten your crown, wipe your tears, stop the chasing, the begging, the fearing. You are already loved, already chosen, already enough. Walk in that truth, unrushed, unshaken, unstoppable. Your love story, it's coming, not because you chased it, but because God designed it. Now, live like you believe it.